Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Sebastopol World Friends Friendship Dinner. We're so pleased to have you with us this evening as we celebrate our long-standing relationship with Chihiro in Ukraine and Takeo City, Japan. My name is Tim Forsland, and I am the co-chair of the Student Exchange Program in Japan. I will be your MC and eye candy for the evening. It's a little bit low budget, so you have to adjust your expectations. Now, obviously, we've had to adapt to the times with our Zoom spectacular, but we're confident that you'll still enjoy a wonderful evening of entertainment, visiting dignitaries, and opportunities to visit with both old and new friends. Seeing as we're on Zoom, you'll need to share your comments through the chat box, and we recommend using the speaker view for the best viewing experience. If you see friends attending tonight, we encourage you to use private messaging to communicate. To make that easier, we ask that you rename yourself on the screen for security and community building purposes. You can find those instructions in the chat box right now. Now, there will be no silent auction tonight, as we are putting our focus on community building by subsidizing tonight's dinner as a gesture of thanks to our local partners. We would like to thank Sushi Tozai and Hole in the Wall for providing unique dinner options for tonight's attendees. In spite of a year's worth of Zooming, this is our first time presenting our friendship dinner online. So we appreciate your understanding and patience as we present tonight's program. Now, we'd like to begin this evening by introducing the chair of the Board of Directors for Sebastopol World Friends, Beth Lamb.
Welcome to everyone and to our friends all across the world. To those of you joining this early morning in Ukraine, Privit and Dobroho Ronku. And to our friends in Japan, Yokoso and Konnichiwa. This has been an unprecedented year. In March, we had to cancel our middle school and adult exchange programs with Takeo, Japan. We are committed to reuniting our Sebastopol student ambassadors with their Takeo families as soon as possible, hopefully by next fall. Because of the pandemic, we have not had the opportunity to fulfill our mission of people-to-people diplomacy in person, but we have ramped up communications with our sister cities in Chihiro, Ukraine, and Takeo, Japan by email, Zoom, and Facebook. In the spring, we initiated the Pandemic Challenge, where we asked our members and sister cities to post short videos and slideshows about how they were dealing with life during the pandemic. Check these videos out on our Facebook page. In August, we participated in Sister City International's US-Japan Sister Cities Bell Ringing Project to commemorate the 75th anniversary of the nuclear bombings of Hiroshima and Nagasaki. We will be presenting a short video of the Sonoma County participants later in the program. Because we have not been connecting many activities this past year, we find our organization is in a good place financially, and we wanted to give back to our community, especially to the restaurants who have suffered greatly during the shelter in place. The shelter in place has prohibited dining at restaurants indoors and now outdoors. Therefore, Sebastopol World Friends has partially subsidized the cost of our takeout dinner tonight and are proud to support Sushi Tozai, who has in the past donated to our programs with dine and donate nights, as well as the silent auction donation items. We also like to add our support to Sebastopol's favorite Hole in the Wall restaurant, who also donated to our silent auction last year and made our delicious borscht tonight. So for you people who are not in Sebastopol, this is an example of what we're eating tonight. I hope you can see that. Beautiful. For those of you not able to join us with Sebastopol takeout dinners, you can make our friendship dinner recipes at home. Check out our recipes posted on our website for borscht, futomaki, and salads. Now, I would like to thank the Friendship Dinner team for their relentless work to put this Zoom presentation on tonight. I think I speak for everyone by saying we had a big learning curve. So please excuse our pauses. This was a first for many of us. The team includes Sebastopol World Friends board members, Val Chirma, Meg Mizutanu, Patricia Dengen, Abigail Evans, Ruthie Dunlop, Olga Komar, and myself. Special thanks to our communications guru, Stefania Copy, and also to Tom Borg, Stephen Levenberg, Jack Dunlop for their tech support. Finally, thanks to Tim Forslund for being our awesome MC once again this year. I'd like to introduce the hardworking Sebastopol World Friends board members who are all on the Zoom tonight. Board members, please turn on your cameras and wave your hand when I call your names, okay? Here we go. Val Churma, Meg Mizutani, Patty Levenberg, Olga Komar, Patricia Dengen, Stefania Copy, Leaf Roberts, Ruthie Dunlop, and Robert Harkave. Now I'll turn the mic over to Meg Mizutani to introduce our special guests.
Hello. So the pandemic has restricted the activities of not just Sebastopol World Friends, but the sister city community around the world. At the same time, it has given us unique opportunities to connect globally. We have witnessed many organizations and individuals coming together with new technologies or through creative projects. Usually, most of the Friendship Dinner guests are from Sonoma County, but today, many guests are joining us from outside Sonoma County thanks to the Zoom technology. So for fun, if you can, please change your screen to gallery view so that you can see everybody, and turn on your video if you're comfortable. Okay, so first, if you are joining from Sebastopol, please wave. All right, awesome. I would like to recognize our Sebastopol City Council members in the audience. I see Vice Mayor Sarah Gurney and Council Member and Sebastopol World Friends Liaison Patrick Slater, Council Member Nisa Hinton, Council Member Diana Rich. Thank you so much for coming, and thanks for your unwavering support of Sebastopol World Friends and our mission. If you're joining from Sonoma County outside Sebastopol, Sonoma County, please wave. You see, okay, great. I see Sonoma County Tyco representative. Thanks, we can't wait to have you back in person. Okay, so now if you are joining from outside Sonoma County, please wave. The Bay Area or anywhere in California, please wave. Yay. Okay, I see many of them waving. I'd like to recognize some individuals in the audience who have supported in the past with our cultural entertainment. Maria Cherepenko from Ukrainian American Coordinating Council, thank you. And I see Ola of Bandura Ensemble Northern California, thank you for attending in person. We'll show your video later. Okay, now, if you're joining from Ukraine, please wave. Okay, I see some of you are joining. It's 4:30 in the morning. Thank you so much for coming and joining us. If you're joining from Japan, please wave. I see many familiar faces. All right. I just want to recognize Takil World Friends board members, Rumi and Pat and their family, and we miss you all. Thank you so much for being here. So good to see familiar faces and great to meet new friends. Who would have thought something like this was possible? During this difficult time, our work is more important than ever, building and keeping friendship with people we care about, even if they live far away. This Zoom get-together symbolizes the power of citizen diplomacy and our commitment to world peace one friend at a time. Also, citizen diplomats, like all of us here tonight, know from our own experiences that we can stay connected. And the connection is both global and local. We know a distance doesn't stop us from sharing our love and compassion with each other, whether with our friends in sister cities of thousands of miles away or our friends and neighbors that we cannot hug even if they're just 6 feet away. So tonight, let us celebrate the power of people-to-people diplomacy and remind ourselves of how important it is. All right, so next I'd like to introduce our friends from the Bay Area, Zoloty Make Ukrainian Dance Ensemble, formerly known as the Brevzniki. Founded in 2016, Zoloty Make is a group of young adults who love the art of Ukrainian folk dance and is proud to carry on the tradition of sharing the art with the Bay Area. The name Zoloty Make means golden poppies. It symbolizes its connection to both California and Ukrainian heritage, as poppies symbolizes youthfulness and beauty in Ukrainian culture. I'll put their information in the chat later, so please check it out. This is a video of their performance at our friendship dinner in January 2020, this time last year. We wanted to show you this particular piece because you get to see and feel the excitement of the friendship dinner, the banners, the flags, and the audience. So before I forget, I would like to ask you to switch the screen back to speaker view so that you get to enjoy their dance. We're happy to welcome them back. This is our favorite piece, Hopak.
Our welcome dance. And this next piece is a piece that we call Hopak. And this is traditionally performed at the end of our repertoire. It was actually originated by Ukrainian Zaporizhian Cossacks. And it's developed significantly over the years. And the word Hopak originates and derives from the word Hopatek, which means to jump. As such, you'll see it's a much more fast-paced dance. You'll see some unique turns, jumps, and all around you hope you enjoy it.
Well, that's wonderful. I know how much we miss seeing the dancing in person, but we do encourage you to dance and sing and play along this evening with all of our entertainment. Just please be careful not to strike any family members unexpectedly or damage your laptop. Sebastopol World Friends will not be reimbursing you for your damages. Now, Sebastopol World Friends is a member of Sister Cities International and was awarded the best program in 2013 in the small city category. Our partnership with Sister City International is very important to Sebastopol World Friends and has helped our program to thrive. I'd like to introduce Kevin O'Donnell, Chair of the Sister City International Japan Committee and the Sister City International Board of Directors Young Professional Representative. Kevin has been a longtime supporter of Sebastopol World Friends as political assistant at the Consulate of Japan in San Francisco. Please welcome Mr. Kevin O'Donnell.
Thank you very much, Tim. Good evening, everyone. I'm honored to be here tonight representing SCI at the annual friendship dinner of the award-winning Sebastopol World Friends. Thank you, Meg, for inviting me to speak and also for her and Tim's tireless efforts on the exchange program with Takeo. Thank you to Consul General of Japan, Toru Maeda, and Consul General of Ukraine, Dmytro Kushenerek, for being here as well. It's invaluable to have government officials supporting these sister city relationships. Finally, I also want to make sure to thank the hardworking organizing committee of tonight's virtual edition of the Friendship Dinner. SCI has been hosting many virtual events over the last year, and so I know how difficult it can be to get the technology working just right. So congratulations to you all. As everyone may know, Sister Cities International was created in 1956 by President Dwight D. Eisenhower. Our mission is to promote peace through mutual respect, understanding, and cooperation, one individual, one community at a time. We believe in the power of personal connections and work to create global relationships based on exchanges of all types. At SCI, we also have something called the Japan Committee, which serves as a national platform that provides a more inclusive and unified approach to SCI's relationship with Japan. This is a membership benefit for SCI members, so anyone belonging to an active SCI member city that has a sister city in Japan, like Sebastopol, is encouraged to join our Japan Committee's activities. Our first initiative as the Japan Committee was the US-Japan Sister Cities Bell Ringing Project in August of last year. This project called for citizen diplomats and city leaders to coordinate the simultaneous ringing of bells in sister cities across the United States and Japan to mark 75 years of peace since the atomic bombings of Hiroshima and Nagasaki. There was a broad desire to mark this historic anniversary through sister city relationships in particular, as there are over 455 sister city or sister state relationships that have been recorded between the US and Japan, 162 of which are within the SCI network. There's meaningful symbolism to a project like this since SCI was created to prevent wars like World War II. One thing the world needs a lot more of right now is hope. And this is one simple way that all of us, separately but together, sent a strong message of solidarity last year. I want to thank the citizens of Sebastopol for helping SCI create this amazingly positive milestone of peace for humankind. I understand that Sebastopol World Friends undertook a campaign of their own called Let's Ring Bells of Peace after hearing about the SCI Bell Ringing Project. Sebastopol World Friends reached out to many organizations and individuals in the community, such as the Interfaith Council of Sonoma County, Enmanji Buddhist Temple, and the Japanese American Citizens League. Despite the challenges of the pandemic, an amazing amount of people participated in the bell ringing project from your community at different locations, but together in spirit. I do want to note that in total, 80 cities participated in this project across 22 US states, 17 Japanese prefectures, and 3 countries. 3 countries? Another country besides the US and Japan participated? Well, that would be Chihirin, Ukraine, the only city that I know of outside of the US and Japan who participated in the bell ringing project. So well done, Sebastopol, once again on getting all your friends in on this important and meaningful event. And now, speaking of that project, it is my great pleasure to introduce this next video, which is a compilation of the videos, photos, and messages that Sebastopol World Friends collected after the event. Please enjoy this video, Let's Ring Bells of Peace. Thank you.
ceremony to commemorate 75 years of peace between Japan and the United States of America. This is the exact day and time 75 years ago that the first atomic weapon was unleashed upon the Japanese people in World War II.
Now turn on. That's cool. Okay, Ani.
It's a time when the ancestors return home. And so it's very fitting, I think, during this time to honor those who passed away and perished as a result of the atomic bombing of Nagasaki on this day.
May they find in their hearts compassion, hope, and love. I believe it is human nature to desire a world that is peaceful. War is caused by fear, misunderstanding, and greed. May all the people have the opportunity, like we have had, to understand one another as individuals, as members of their communities, as citizens of their countries, and a part of the world, the family of nations. May peace prevail, world peace, one friend at a time.
Hello.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining.
Many years ago, on my very first trip to Japan, Hiroshima was on the top of my list of places, cities to visit. When I got there, I was so shaken and moved by all that I saw and felt. And the monuments there, with the colorful origami cranes for Sadako, still stick in my mind. Arigato. Thank you so very much, and have a great event, teacher. Our friends in Takeo, our Japanese sister city, are also participating in this project. One of the board members of Takeo World Friends, our counterpart in Takeo,
has sent me her message on behalf of Takeo World Friends so that I can share that with you. I hope this bell ringing project gives us the opportunity to pause and reflect on peace. We cannot afford not to, because we have friends all over the world that we truly care about. With hope for peace, Hiroko Kishimoto, Takeo World Friends board member.
Blessings, dear friends. I am Reverend Lori Warren, deacon from St. John's Episcopal Church in Petaluma. I join you today on behalf of Sonoma County United in Kindness in expressing our compassion for everyone and everything that was so gravely devastated in the bombings in Japan 75 years ago.
I'm Ron Taji, and I'm a member of the Sonoma County Japanese American Citizens League and a local chairperson for a project called Tsuru for Solidarity.
Sadako was 12 years old when she died of radiation from nuclear bombings in Hiroshima in 1945.
To this day, she's remembered as a symbol of the innocent victims of nuclear warfare.
So while in the hospital, suffering from leukemia, she set herself the goal of making 1,000 origami cranes.
Greetings from Chigrin, Ukraine.
This event touches the hearts of Ukrainian people, and we would like you to know that we share this special moment with our friends in the USA and Japan.
We wish love and peace not only to your countries, but also to all the countries in our world.
We will ring our bell to honor your day.
We pray for the world peace and for the resolution of the armed conflict in eastern Ukraine.
Bye, with love from Friends of Chigrin.
Thank you. I think the video is such a wonderful example of communities coming together to build understanding and friendship obviously across borders. I know our visits to Nagasaki to the Peace Park Museum is one of the highlights for the student exchange program. And we definitely look forward to our return visit and bringing our latest group of ambassadors there. Now, at this time, I'd like to introduce Mr. Toru Maeda, Consul General of Japan, and also recognize in attendance Vice Consul Ruo Eono, and of course, Political Assistant Kevin O'Donnell, who you heard from earlier. Mr. Maeda had received a BA in Law from the University of Tokyo, and an MS in Foreign Service from Georgetown University here in the United States. Consul General Maeda began his career at the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of Japan in 1985 and has been in the Foreign Service for the last 35 years. Over the past decade, he has held several positions in both overseas and domestic assignments with the Japan International Cooperation Agency, Permanent Mission of Japan in Geneva, and Minister in charge of Economic Affairs at the Embassy of Japan in Indonesia. We are honored to have his enthusiasm and support for our program and very excited to have him with us here this evening. Please welcome from the Consulate General, Mr. Toru Maeda.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for the kind introduction. My name is Toru Maeda, Consul General of Japan in San Francisco. It's my pleasure to join you this evening. First, I'd like to thank Sebastopol World Friends for organizing this dinner and having me at your event. I'd also like to take this opportunity to recognize special guests, former US Ambassador to Ukraine, the Honorable Stephen Pfeiffer, Sebastopol City Councilman Patrick Slater, and Consul General Dmytro Kushnek of Ukraine. Congratulations to the city of Sebastopol and Sebastopol World Friends on the 35th anniversary of your sister city relationship with Takeo, Japan. The relationship began with Mayor Miller's trip to Yamauchi, Japan in 1985. You continued the relationship even after Yamauchi was merged with Takeo in 2011. Sister city relationships help build grassroots relations and cooperation between our people and communities. As Japanese Consul General in San Francisco, I've been helped a lot by the strong people-to-people ties that are formed through these sister city relationship. I'm truly thankful for your long-lasting friendship. Despite the many challenges of COVID-19, Sebastopol World Friends set a great example of how to conduct sister city activities during the pandemic last year. In the fall, many of you kindly participated in the first virtual California Japan Sister Cities workshop, co-hosted by our consulate in San Francisco and in Los Angeles, and the California Japan Sister City Network. The event was a great success, and it was largely due to your own president, Ms. Megumi Zitani. Thank you very much. In addition, I'd like to thank everyone who participated in the bell ringing project, commemorating 75 years of peace since the atomic bombings of Hiroshima and Nagasaki. It was truly a moving moment of solidarity and friendship. In closing, thank you very much again for your continued commitment to strengthening relations between our cities and people. Although we can't enjoy sushi and borscht together this year, I look forward to future events with Sebastopol World Friends, where we may meet again in person. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Also joining us this evening, the Consul General of Ukraine in San Francisco, Mr. Dmytro Kushniruk. Mr. Kushniruk joined the Foreign Service in 2006 and has held posts at the Permanent Mission of Ukraine to the United Nations in New York and Deputy Chief of Protocol to the President of Ukraine prior to his role as Consul General. Ladies and gentlemen, please join us as we welcome Dmytro Kushniruk.
Good evening, distinguished guests. Good evening to American guests. Вітаю всіх, хто з України. And konnichiwa to my colleague, Toru Maeda, Consul General of Japan, and all the guests from Japan. So my name is Dmytro Kushniruk. I'm Consul General of Ukraine in San Francisco from this year, from previous year. And first of all, thank you all for invitation. It is a great honor and pleasure for me to be here today in a circle of good friends of Chigirin, Sebastopol, and Takeo. Starting from signing of a sister city agreement between the two cities in 1993, we have an example of successful and fruitful bilateral cooperation on a regional level. Ukraine highly appreciated all the fundraising efforts of Sebastopol War Friends within the CURE project that include humanitarian aid for the hospitals in Chigrin. People of Chigrin have the warmest memories about the support of Chigrin Library, realization of environmental projects, the rich history of exchange programs for high school youth, physicians, educators, military, and civic leaders and businessmen. It is an issue of high importance to maintain close friendly ties of cities in these difficult times, to engage economical, cultural, and humanitarian cooperation between sister cities. And from our side, we will do our best to continue and deepen friendly ties between all sides. Ukraine now is a state of wide possibilities. So we invite you to rediscover our entire country, beautiful, free, and economically strong. Ukraine is open for the whole world, and it is the best time for you to be there, to explore, to invest, and to study. Ukraine side highly appreciated cooperation with Japanese side, and it is very important for us to hold this type of trilateral events. It is a great chance to show all our financial, cultural, and traditions to the world. Dear friends, I hope this year will be a year of recovery for our countries, and it will be the best time to strengthen our cooperation on a bilateral and trilateral level. I am looking forward to seeing all of you in person when this will be possible. And I would like to say thank you to Sebastopol World Friends for this fantastic event, to all artistic teams for their superb performances, and to all guests for your attention. Have a nice evening, and let's enjoy this holiday of friendship together. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have our Sister City Liaison for Sebastopol World Friends, Patrick Slater. Mr. Slater has been a longtime advocate and supporter of our program, even traveling to Japan himself a number of times. He's been an integral part of our success and partnership with our city government. Everyone, please welcome Patrick Slater.
Thank you, everyone. The honor of being the City Council representative to Sebastopol World Friends for now 10 years has been a highlight of my time on the council. The dedicated volunteers in 3 different countries who work so hard to promote citizen diplomacy are really inspiring examples of our community spirit and our community values. While this person-to-person diplomacy is important, my belief is that the most important part of the program is the opportunity for middle school students to become student ambassadors, traveling internationally and staying with Ukrainian and Japanese families. The Ukrainian part of the program has been on hold for a number of years, and we are hoping to get that underway just as soon as we can. There have been hundreds of student ambassadors over the years, and the opportunities afforded these young people is an unparalleled life experience. The confidence, tolerance, understanding, and love shared with people from different cultures is something we can all be proud of facilitating. Every year, Sebastopol World Friends honors community members who have had a profound impact in our community and on the Sebastopol World Friends organization. This year, we have 2 honorees. The first is Daryl Yagi, and the second is Julene Leach. So I will introduce Daryl first and ask if he has a couple of words that he'd like to share with everybody. This is sort of the highest honor that Sebastopol World Friends can bestow upon a community member, and the things that these 2 individuals have done for Sebastopol World Friends has really been profound this year and for years. Daryl is on the board of the Imanji Buddhist Temple, as well as being an assistant minister. Daryl has helped Sebastopol World Friends for many years, giving a tour of the Imanji Buddhist Temple to the delegations from Japan. And that's all delegations, that's students, that's adults, city officials, and other private groups. And the sharing of the Japanese American history as it relates to Sebastopol. And it's a very long history. Daryl has also helped at the friendship dinner for a number of years, always being there early to help set up the room and to stay after the event, helping to clean up. And this year, or last year, most importantly, as we all just saw in that video, the bell ringing to mark 75 years of peace between Japan and the United States. Daryl was an integral part of those celebrations and commemorations. And he's just always been a generous and big supporter of Sebastopol World Friends. So Daryl, if you've got something to share with us, we'd love to hear it.
Thank you, Patrick, for the presentation. I'd like to thank Sebastopol World Friends for this recognition. But more importantly, I would like to thank Sebastopol World Friends for the opportunity to assist and to support the cross-cultural, to build cross-cultural understanding and to promote world peace. So thank you again for this honor. I appreciate it very much. Thank you.
Thank you, Daryl. And next, Sebastopol World Friends would like to honor Julaine Leach. She and her parents, Martin and Dorothy Shimizu, helped connect Sebastopol World Friends with the Inmanji Temple in 2009, when Sebastopol World Friends Takeo group wanted to use the Memorial Hall for a welcome party for the middle school delegation. And it may seem as though that has always happened, but 2009 was the first year of that. And that was the first year of now every other year, which is every visiting group of the visitors from Takeo specifically. And Julaine has been at every single event at the temple that Sebastopol World Friends has hosted. That's welcome parties in 09, 11, 13, 15, 17, 19, and the friendship dinner, which is what we are enjoying this evening, in 15, 16, 18, 20, and the only reason she missed 17 and 19 was because of those horrible fires that we've all lived through. She's the first one to show up and the last one to leave. Very helpful in the kitchen, supporting every aspect of every event, prepping, cooking, setting up the hall, serving, and then also staying and doing the hard work of cleaning up. Julaine, thank you for all your efforts over the years, and the World Friends really appreciates all your efforts.
Thank you, Patrick. It's been a joy participating with Sebastopol World Friends, and I hope our relationship continues.
Thank you. And I've got a couple of certificates that may or may not show up. Well, they don't show up. So we'll get those to Daryl and Julaine, honoring you and thanking you again. So that ends my portion. Tim.
All right. Thank you, Patrick. And thank you to you both for all of your hard work. Now, I think of all the values that are held sacred by Sebastopol World Friends, maybe the most important is the frequency and quality of a good group photo. So at this time, we are going to try to do a massive group photo with all of our attendees tonight. So we can't get you up out of your seats and on stage tonight or have you stand in the crowd. We can capture it by doing screenshots of our various Zoom pages. Now, these pictures are going to be shared with our friends in Japan and Ukraine, as well as used for social media outreach for Sebastopol World Friends. If you prefer not to be in our group photo, we understand, and you're welcome to turn off your camera. We hope as many of you as possible are willing to participate. Now, here's the catch. You're gonna have to hold that smile long and awkward to give time for us to do the screenshots of all the pages. So we're really gonna ask you to milk that smile. sure you can think back to a time with like family or something where you had to like smile and keep smiling and keep smiling. That's what it's going to be like. Okay. All right. Now, on the count of 3, we're all going to say peace, and you're just going to hold it. Is everybody ready? All right, here we go. Stretch those muscles. Here we go. 1, 2, 3. Peace. Keep holding it. Keep holding it. Keep smiling. Feel the burn. Just keep smiling. And at some point, Meg's going to tell us when we can stop smiling. Aren't you, Meg? Because we're still smiling.
You're still muted.
I've been saying yes.
Oh, whew. All right, you can relax. Just let it out. You can even frown now if you want. If you need to like compensate for the last 60 seconds of smiling, you can just look really angry and that'll be okay. Because we want to get everything balanced again. All right, are we good, Meg? That worked? Yes? All right, awesome. On with the show, in spite of all the twitching and stuff. Okay, so now, speaking of laptop problems. So we're excited to have you here tonight, obviously in the spirit of community and friendship that we hold very dear. And we literally have a global audience tonight, which is very exciting, right? Something that we can't do generally when we're in person. So it makes tonight a little extra special. So we want to celebrate these bonds that transcend borders. As we're all aware, 2020 was very difficult. And 2021 kind of got off to a rough start too. But we're going to think really positive here, and we want to focus on the positives, not the negatives. So we're going to highlight the successes. We're going to take a few minutes to come together and share these stories through a word cloud. And if you're not familiar with a word cloud, well, you're going to get to experience it right now, but we're going to share certain words and we're going to build a visual out of it that will highlight all of the great things that have happened, things that we can be proud of from the past year. So in a moment, I'm going to give you a question and you're going to type your answer in the chat box. And these responses are going to be generated into the word cloud and shared later in the presentation. You simply have to supply the answer and we do the rest. Now, this works best if your answer is like 1 to 3 words. We don't want full sentences. That's going to be very tricky and hands might cramp up and bad things will happen. So we're going to keep it really short and sweet. Okay. Now, we want you to think about how your community, wherever you are, has persevered or shown unity throughout the pandemic or this past year. Okay. What is something that you've witnessed in your community that has made you proud? That's our question. What is something that you've witnessed in your community that has made you proud? So think carefully for a moment. If you can capture that in 1 to 3 words, we'd like you to type that into the chat box and we will generate the word cloud from there. And this will be a great opportunity to see what's shared and what's different from all of our attendees tonight about things that are real positives about a difficult stretch of time that we've had. So while you're doing that, we're going to transition, but you can keep typing. One of the highlights of our friendship dinner is the traditional music from both Ukraine and Japan. Our next performance tonight is a video from the Ukrainian Bandura Ensemble. The Bandura Ensemble of Northern California, based in Sacramento, was founded in 1994 at the Heritage School of Ukrainian Studies. The bandura is the instrument that best embodies the voice and soul of Ukraine. In the next video, director Ola Olyinik leads the ensemble in performing Rylitsa, a traditional Ukrainian folk dance melody. Enjoy. Thank you to the Ukrainian Bandura Ensemble for sharing such a beautiful performance. Now, not many people know that Christmas is not always celebrated on December 25th. For example, in Ukraine, Christmas is celebrated on January 7th and is followed by the second celebration of New Year's on January 14th, as well as the celebration of Jesus Christ's baptism on January 18th. Our friends in Chihiran just finished celebrating their festivities and would like to share with us their folk song and New Year's greetings. We're thankful to the Chihiran City Center of Culture, Leisure, and Sports for their beautiful video. The director of the center, Svetlana Pervezhnuk, visited Sebastopol as part of the Chihiran delegation in 2013. It's our pleasure to present our next video. Please enjoy your borscht or other Ukrainian food while watching it, and feel free to write in the chat messages to our friends in Chihiran.
За вікном сніжна хмара в'ється, під вікном колядник топчеться, усіх його до хати нам буде співати коляди, усіх його до хати нам буде співати коляди. А в печі пирої сиділи, там його застругав, одному діставав, наївся. Він паличку застругав, одному діставав, наївся. А в печі пирогів не стало, він поліз на гору по сало, а він сала не дістав, бо з драбинки упав, забився. За вікном сніжна хмара в'ється, під вікном колядник топчеться, усіх його до хати він нам буде співати коляди, усіх його до хати він нам буде співати коляди.
Добрий вечір, щедрий вечір, лине по планеті. Та, на жаль, що ми вітаємо вас лиш в інтернеті.
Та давайте не зважати на всі карантини. Новий рік вже наступає, мир кожній родині.
Прийде час і буде зустріч знову наша з вами. З Новим роком, любі друзі, з усіма святами!
All right, so I have the translation to that message. The MC is very handsome and is doing an exceptional job with pronunciations. And then there's a little bit, oh, and here's the last part. We are sad that we are wishing you a happy new year through the internet and not face-to-face. However, notwithstanding the quarantine, we believe in a better year and wish peace to you and your families. We know that the right time will come and we will see you again in real life. Happy New Year and happy holidays, our dear friends. And that's from the Friends of Chihiran, which is very sweet. Now, our featured presentation of the evening is an interview with former United States Ambassador to Ukraine, Mr. Steve Pfeiffer. Mr. Pfeiffer served as Deputy Assistant Secretary of State in the Bureau of European and Eurasian Affairs with responsibilities for Russia and Ukraine, Ambassador to Ukraine and Special Assistant to the President and Senior Director for Russia, Ukraine, and Eurasia on the National Security Council. A longtime Sebastopol resident, Ambassador Pfeiffer visited Chihiran with the Sebastopol World Friends delegation in 1996. Recently, board member Abigail Evans met with Ambassador Pfeiffer and asked him to share with us his unique insights and experiences in regards to US-Ukrainian relations and focusing on the role of citizen diplomacy in today's world. Please enjoy this fascinating insight into international diplomacy and the power of grassroots community outreach.
Today, I am delighted to be welcoming to conversation with me
Steve Pfeiffer. Welcome, Steve.
Thanks for having me.
Yes, and I welcome you on behalf of the Sebastopol World Friends and all the guests at our friendship dinner who will be watching this interview. Let me introduce you, Steve, so that our listeners know a little bit about who you are. You have been a research fellow at Stanford University. You are soon bound for Berlin, where you will be a research fellow at the Robert Bosch Academy. You have a long career in the Foreign Service, extending back into, I guess, the early 90s.
Actually, the late 1970s.
Late 1970s. So you got into Foreign Service right out of college, it sounds like. And you have been a former ambassador to Ukraine. You served there from 1998 to 2000. And it also sounds like you have had positions in embassies in other places as well. Where else have you been posted to?
Well, first of all, let me say I'm sorry I can't join you in real time, but 3:30 in the morning in Berlin was not the best time to be doing this. So I'm glad we could pre-tape this.
Yes.
No, I had a great 27-year career in the Foreign Service. In addition to Kyiv, I also served in Warsaw, Moscow, and London. Spent time in Geneva in the 1980s at the nuclear arms talks. And then in Washington, spent about 2.5 years detailed to the White House, the National Security Council staff. So it was a great career. Anybody out there who's looking for a fascinating work, public service, and some opportunities to do some fairly important things, I highly recommend the Foreign Service.
You also, though, when we spoke a little bit, you told me that you consider Sebastopol home, and that you have deep ties to Sebastopol. So when did you move to Sebastopol?
Well, my mother, my brother, and I moved from the San Francisco Peninsula up to Sebastopol back in 1966. And so it was in Sebastopol where I went to junior high school. I attended and graduated from Annalee. And those were sort of my formative years. So I look back and I say that was really kind of my hometown experience. Yeah. And I kept the ties in part because a lot of my Annalee friends stayed, within the area. My mother continued actually to live in the house that I lived in when I went to high school up until when she passed away a few years ago. And I actually used that address as my permanent legal address when I was in the Foreign Service. Foreign Service is kind of like military. You're moving every 2 or 3 years. So you usually try to find some address that's going to have some permanency. So I used that up until the time when I retired from the Foreign Service back in 2004. And I still look back on Sebastopol as it was a delightful place to grow up in. And every time I go back there, I kind of remind myself that I miss it.
Yeah, well, Sebastopol would be happy to have you move home if a chance ever arises. So here in Sebastopol, we've had connections to Ukraine since its very earliest days, really, as an independent country through our sister city, Chehirin. We formed that connection, and that's a time period that you are somewhat of an expert on. You wrote a book that came out in 2017 that looked at the early the establishment of Ukraine as an independent country. The name of your book for our listeners is The Eagle and the Trident. And I just wanted to ask you, in your book, you talk about the major challenges facing Ukraine were, on the one hand, taking on economic and political reforms, and on the other hand, establishing a new relationship with Russia. So how do you think that's all going lately for Ukraine?
Well, I think right now, actually, let me just comment on the point you made about the connections between California and Ukraine. And it's not just the California National Guard, but within Sonoma County, they continue, 3 sister city relationships between Santa Rosa and Cherkasy. And Cherkasy was an interesting town because when I was in Ukraine in the late 1990s, that was the training center for our Peace Corps volunteers. So they would come to Cherkasy, they would go through an orientation program, language training, before they spread out all around Ukraine. And then Sonoma had a relationship with Kaniv. And Kaniv is also famous because it's the place where Shevchenko, sort of the Ukrainian national poet, is buried. And then there's the connection to Sebastopol. My understanding was originally there was talk about pairing Sebastopol with Sevastopol in Crimea.
Yes.
And Sebastopol actually, of course, is named after Sevastopol, or at least Sevastopol in the Crimean War is what gave them the idea for the Sebastopol name. But then I think wiser heads prevailed and said, Sebastopol, a small farming community, 7,000 people in Sebastopol, a major port that was housing a good portion of the Russian Navy. The connections really didn't make a lot of sense. So they settled on Chiherin, which actually has a history of its own. And as I was reminded when I went to Chiherin in 1998, I was not the first ambassador to go there because Chiherin had been the capital of Bohdan Khmelnytsky back in the 1600s, and at one point apparently hosted 11 different embassies from countries around Europe.
Wow.
So there's this interesting history and these connections that I think are, and we can talk about those maybe a little bit later. But in terms of Ukraine today, I think the country really faces two challenges. One is external, Russia, and the other is internal. And it was clear from the time that Ukraine regained its independence in 1991 that it had this large neighbor, Russia. And I think that for most Russians, the hardest piece of the Soviet Union to lose when the Soviet Union collapsed was Ukraine. Ukraine had been part of the Russian Empire going back to the mid-1600s, with the exception of a short couple of years after World War I. Russians referred to Ukrainians as Little Russians. I'm not sure a lot of Ukrainians like that term, but I think emotionally for Russians, it was hard to lose Ukraine. And that's been a very complicated relationship. And it, of course, became much more complicated after the Maidan Revolution in 2014, when Russian military forces seized Crimea, and Russia subsequently annexed Crimea. And then a couple of months later, you begin to see Russian security forces. They tried to portray themselves as a separatist movement. But it's pretty clear that the conflict that's gone on in the eastern Ukrainian region of Donbass for the last almost 7 years now, was instigated by Russian security forces. There's been Russian leadership, Russian funding, Russian heavy weapons, ammunition, and in several cases, there's very strong evidence that regular units of the Russian army were fighting in Ukraine. And of course, the Russians provided the missile that was used, unfortunately, to shoot down the Malaysian airliner back in 2014. So you have that conflict going on. And there's a difference. I don't believe the Russians want to annex Donbass, but they're using Donbass as a tool. It's a mechanism to put pressure on the government in Kyiv, to distract it, to divert its attention, to destabilize it, to make it harder to get on with what it needs to do to make Ukraine a successful state. So that's the external challenge. And although the conflict the violence has died down in the last 5 or 6 months, but it's still a simmering conflict, and it's still possible for the Russians to ratchet that up. So that's the external challenge. The internal challenge is continuing getting in place the rest of the reforms that Ukraine needs, and putting in place the anti-corruption measures to get the economy functioning in a normal way, where it's basically serving the interests of the people, not just certain privileged oligarchs. And I think there's a bit of frustration now in that, although there was a lot of hope and expectation when the current president, Volodymyr Zelensky, came to office back in May of 2019, a lot of hope that he would be changed and that he would finish these reforms, that he would reduce the outsized political and economic influence of the oligarchs and allow the economy to grow and really take a swipe at corruption. Looking back over 2020, he seems to have gone off course on that. So that's a problem.
Yeah. What are your hopes for the next chapter with new administration coming in? I mean, in brief, what are you hoping 2021 brings the U.S. and the Ukrainian relationship?
Well, I think the Biden presidency will be good for Ukraine. Now, let me say, it's been kind of interesting over the past 4 years during the Trump administration, is if you look at actual American policy towards Ukraine, it's continued to be supportive, provided military support, including lethal military assistance. It's continued sanctions on Russia. It's continued to have American forces in Ukraine, training Ukrainian forces. So it's actually been a pretty good policy. I would call it was really a continuation of the last couple of years of the Obama administration's policy. The question mark, though, that you've had is that while you've had this policy, there's always been the question, did Donald Trump agree with that policy?
Yeah.
And I think that made people nervous. And of course, the one major interaction that we saw with by President Trump with Ukraine was an extortion effort that led to his impeachment.
Yeah.
With President Biden, or now President-elect Biden, but soon to be President Biden, you're going to have somebody who understands Ukraine. He traveled there 6 times as vice president. He understands the importance of a stable, successful Ukraine for the American vision of a Europe that's whole, free, and stable. I think he understands the Russia challenge. And so you're not going to see this dichotomy between the president and his policy. They'll match. But I also think that President Biden can be important for Ukraine is that he can apply tough love when needed. He will be prepared, I think, and I hope to put some pressure on President Zelensky to do the right thing to help Ukraine get to the point, where it can really fully unleash the country's potential. And I think, unfortunately, since Mr. Zelensky has diverted from that reform path, we're going to push. We're going to have to push, and I think that the Biden administration will do that.
Yeah. So shifting our lens from sort of the top of the relationship, nation with nation, Sebastopol World Friends, we talk a lot about grassroots diplomacy. That's really the motivating force behind what we do, is that we are peace builders through relationship building. That's our motto, is building peace one friend at a time. And I just wanted to hear from you about how do you think that works in terms of movements like this? Like, can these small kind of movements at the grassroots level, do they have an effect on international relationships?
Yes, I'm a big fan of these kinds of grassroots people-to-people contacts. And in fact, one thing that I'm kind of proud of is in my last year in Ukraine, we were able to adjust our assistance priorities so that we were able to increase the number of exchanges, or the number of Ukrainians that come to the United States on various exchanges, by about 80%. And I think that's a good thing. I mean, I'll give you, I think, really 2 or 3 reasons. One is, I think most Americans are pretty likable people. I mean, and having a Ukrainian come and spend, even a week, or if it's a case of an exchange student here at Annalee or El Molino for a year, they're going to get a pretty good image of America and a pretty good impression of America. And I think they carry that back. And who knows where that high school student's going to be 25 or 30 years down the road. So we're planting some seeds. Second, Sebastopol, I know, has hosted, there's a number of exchange programs that go on that will bring, say, 6 or 7 Ukrainians over and to look at specific issues. How does the city authorities in Sebastopol, how do they deal with certain challenges? Mm-hmm. And it's an opportunity for Sebastopol to share its experience with somebody from small towns in Ukraine. But it's also a two-way opportunity. I mean, there actually may be some chances for the Ukrainians to say, well, gee, that's an interesting question. Here's how we deal with it in Ukraine. So this can be a two-way exchange. So I think there can be some real value there. And I think these exchange programs, they bear fruit. And you may not see it immediately. But later on, who knows, this could be members of parliament, they could be ministers, and the fact that they had a chance to spend 3 weeks, or in some cases a year or a couple of years in the United States, shapes, in my mind, a fairly positive impression that they have about America, and that's a good thing. And just one other anecdote, I remember going to, I guess it was in Odessa, on the Black Sea in southern Ukraine. And I had a chance to talk to some high school students. It was actually two groups of 30. One was a group of 30 kids who the next week were going on an airplane and then go to 30 different cities around the United States and spend a year in an American high school. The other group had just returned from their year. And it was night and day. I mean, you know, one of these kids had spent a year in Texas. He had been a soccer player in Ukraine, ended up playing on the football team as their place kicker, and came back not only with this great command of English, but with this Texan drawl. And just so you could sort of see, you know, the kids who are going over a little bit nervous because they're going 5,000 miles away from home. But then when they were talking to the ones who'd come back, I mean, seeing the opportunities that they were going to have, just to see some really different and some interesting things. And again, my sense is those who came back all came back with very positive views of America. And you know, that makes diplomacy easier. I mean, to the extent that you're working in a country and trying to encourage that country to adopt policies and positions that align well with American interests, you know, to the extent that you have people in that country who are favorably inclined towards Americans, that makes the job a lot easier.
Yeah. Well, we sent a delegation a few years ago, and you know, our relationship remains strong. And to just follow up on the point you were making a little while ago, some of those young professionals who came and attended programs here in Sebastopol, you know, that information is definitely percolating in their community. And now we're seeing people running for office, stepping up into leadership roles, you know.
This is great. Yeah. And I think some of those people probably had no idea that they would be doing that. And then after spending a couple of weeks in Sebastopol, said, hey, there are things that you can do at the local level. And this actually is a good time to have people like that, because there has been, I think, one positive thing, or very positive thing that's taken place in the last several years in Ukraine is they've pushed more authority down towards the municipal and regional level. So a mayor in Ukraine in a small town now has more authority, but also more resources than would have been the case 20 years ago. And again, when I've talked to people in Ukraine in the last year or so, they said that a lot of things are changing at the local level because these local authorities now have the power to do things that 25 years ago would have to have been approved by the central government in Kyiv. And again, I think to the extent that you push authority, responsibility, and accountability down to lower levels, I think that makes for a more efficient government in general.
Yes, and positive change.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes. Well, Steve, it has been a pleasure speaking with you. Thank you. Thank you for taking the time. And I look forward to perhaps hosting you at a friendship dinner in person someday.
Happy to do it when I'm in the country and when we're past COVID.
Yes, let's put that intention away. And I wish you all kinds of great things in your work in Berlin.
Thank you very much. And I think there'll be a very successful dinner virtually on Saturday. I'm just sorry I can't be there in person in real time.
Well, thank you so much.
Okay. All right. Take care now.
A special thanks to both Mr. Pfeiffer and Abigail Evans for that wonderful interview. I think we probably all agree it was really insightful and interesting to hear someone with that sort of background be able to talk about the governmental and personal relationships that go on. Typically during our friendship dinner, we have lots of time to visit with old friends and meet new people as we sit around the tables and watch the entertainment and visit and make small talk. Tonight, we'd like to encourage you to visit with those around you, but we'll be doing some Zoom breakout rooms to share a little bit about ourselves. So in a moment, you're going to be placed in a breakout room, and we're going to ask a couple tasks of you or a couple discussion topics for you to address while you're there. The rooms will go for about 5 minutes. And while you're in the breakout room, we'd like you to briefly take turns with the 2 questions so that one person doesn't take up too much of the time answering both. Hopefully that makes sense. Now, here's what we'd like you to do. Number 1, we'd like you to introduce yourself and explain your relationship to Sebastopol World Friends. Think about why you're here tonight. What's your background? Have you helped? Are you hoping to be involved in the future? Whatever your experience is or connection to Sebastopol World Friends, we'd like to hear from you. And then number two, we'd like you to think about what experiences do you have or that you wish to have that promote cultural understanding. It's so much of what we're all about. And even if you haven't had a chance to travel or homestay or anything like that, what might you like to do? Or is there another way that you've helped promote cultural understanding in your life? Okay, so we're going to do this in kind of two sets, two rooms. We're going to do one breakout room for 5 minutes. We'll bring everybody back, and then we're going to reshuffle and do it again. And this will give you a chance to meet some of the other attendees this evening. Now we'd like to transition to another musical performance from our friends at Sonoma County Taiko. Sonoma County Taiko has been active in the performing arts scene in Sonoma County since it was established in 1995. Their mission is to build a community of acceptance, harmony, and respect through the love of Taiko. They perform regularly at local schools, events, and festivals, in addition to offering workshops and classes to adults and children. The membership of Sonoma County Taiko draws upon the diversity of our community and reflects the variety and unity of Sonoma County. Sonoma County Taiko has been a big supporter of Sebastopol World Friends for many years, and we're thrilled to have them back. Now, the video you're about to watch is a recording of their performance at a New Year's party hosted by the group Drum Revolution in the Bay Area in 2020. And this was the last stage performance before COVID. So enjoy Sonoma County Taiko. right. Special thank you to Sonoma County Taiko for that wonderful performance. We look forward to when we'll be able to see them live again, hopefully at our next get together. Now, as you might know, our most recent student exchange group had to cancel its trip to Takeo, scheduled for last March. We are definitely dedicated to completing the program with these students and visiting Japan as soon as we can. And in the meantime, we had asked them to put together a video of short greetings to their friends and partners in Japan. We'll watch that in a moment, but first we're going to watch a brief video from Takeo World Friends board member Hiroko Kishimoto. And she sent along a video greeting that we're going to watch, and then you'll have a chance to be introduced to our student ambassadors. So please enjoy a quick hello and greeting from Hiroko Kishimoto.
Hello everyone, konbanwa. My name is Hiroko from Takeo World of Friends. I hope you are well. I'm doing good. Thank you very much for inviting me the event. Sorry about I cannot make it on time by Zoom. So I decided to send a message. I'm still happy to join, but join like this. And so it has been a long time since I visited Sebastopol last time. But I hope I can visit again someday in the future. And also you are always welcome to come visit Takeo. We are waiting. So it's been tough because of Corona, but I'm sure we can make it to the trip happen again, and then this Corona ends hopefully soon, but our friendship never ends, right? So hope to see you again. I'm really looking forward to giving you a big hug. Thank you. Bye. See you.
All right, that's very sweet. Now, our next clip is an edited version of a longer video that was sent to Takeo World Friends. If you're not familiar with our current group of student ambassadors, both Meg, Sunny Galbraith, and I are very pleased with the first half of the exchange and super proud about the wonderful ambassadors that we have as part of our program. So this is your chance, if you're not familiar with them, if you haven't met them, and enjoy this brief introduction of our amazing ambassadors.
Konnichiwa, watashi wa Remy desu. We miss you all so much. Matane.
Konnichiwa, hello.
Konnichiwa.
Hope you are doing well and staying safe and healthy. We miss you all.
We're at the house right now and the two dogs are out, Jupiter and Halo. Text me, I want to see how you're doing. All right, bye.
Konnichiwa kose. Genki desu ka? Sashiburi desu. Nihon no choushi wa dou desu ka? Watashi wa takusen genu shigemashita. Anata wa subimasu Super Smash Bros.
Konnichiwa! We miss you all so much and hope you and your families are doing well during these troubled times. We love you and can't wait to see you in the future. Bye!
Konnichiwa!
Konnichiwa! We miss you and we love you.
Hi, Takeo friends.
Hi, Takeo friends!
Konnichiwa! We hope you are well.
I wish I could have seen all of you last spring, but I'm excited to hopefully meet everyone and see you, Nanami, again.
Ise we miss you. Konnichiwa, Ise Mutsuki. Mina anata ni aitagata iru.
Konnichiwa, Rino.
Konnichiwa.
And Ayuri. We miss you. We miss you. We miss cooking with you. Yeah.
We look forward to cooking together again someday very soon.
Konnichiwa. Hi, Yui. It's Abby. I really miss you. I really regret that we didn't get to see each other last spring, but I really am really excited to come and see you guys, hopefully this spring.
I miss all of you and really hope that I get to see you soon. I'm so sad that we couldn't see each other last March.
Hi. Hey, everybody in Takeo. We're so sad we couldn't come and see you, but we can't wait until we can. We hope that your families and your communities and all of you are really safe and healthy.
I'm wishing all of you guys so much happiness, health, and safety, and I hope that we'll see each other again soon. Okay, bye.
Konnichiwa, Hayate. Man, I miss you so much, and I hope that you're safe and well. Sayonara.
Hi everyone. I miss you all so much and I'm so sad that we didn't get to travel this year. I look forward to seeing you guys so much and I hope that that can be soon. I hope you're all staying safe and doing well.
Konnichiwa! Hello from Sebastopol. Hope everyone in Takeo is doing well. We miss you, love you, see you soon. Bye!
See, aren't they great? Doesn't it just warm your heart? All right, now, earlier this evening, we asked you to help us create a word cloud by sharing examples of actions that we have seen in our community that makes us proud, regardless of where we are around the globe. It's always inspiring to see the ways in which people come together in times of need, and certainly 2020 was a time of need. So, our compliments to Abigail Evans, who was frantically typing all of these wonderful responses that you gave for our word cloud. And now's your chance to see a little bit about what was going on literally all around the world. And I think it's really sweet and wonderful that we see words like kindness and compassion as our largest ones. And that means that those were the most popular responses. Anytime that something was shared, it actually makes the word bigger. So our largest ones were the most common. So compassion and kindness, cooperation, but really we see a lot of synonyms and similar words scattered throughout our word cloud. Friendly signs in gardens is a very nice one. I can remember walking around at the first initial lockdowns and seeing a lot of the encouraging signs left by people behind. Zooming with friends, sidewalk chats, teachers collaborating, mask wearing, friendship, big hearts, essential workers. We can't forget our essential workers. Food delivery. What would we have done without food delivery and takeout, right? That could be the biggest one on this whole board. Strangers waving hello, cheering our 2020 graduates, endurance, music, animal shelters, putting others before ourselves. I think that's maybe a nice, sweet one to end with. So we get a chance here to glimpse at a lot of the things that we're proud about, a lot of the things that we can really take to heart and feel good about as we come out of hopefully what's been a very difficult time. And we do want to thank you all for sharing your stories through our word cloud. And we hope you feel like looking back on the positives has been a nice way to sort of end the year and transition to the times ahead. So at this point, as our evening comes to a close, I'd like to thank everybody who participated to make this happen, and all of you for your patience and understanding for our first ever Zoom friendship dinner. I think it's important that we carry on the traditions and of friendship and support and find ways to come together like we did this evening, even during the most challenging of times. I hope you've enjoyed yourself. I hope you feel connected to others here in our big Sebastopol World Friends family in multiple countries. And here's to better and brighter days ahead for all of us. At this time, we'd like to also hear from Meg Mitsutani and Olga Komar, and they'll say some closing remarks.
日本からご参加の皆様、本日はありがとうございました。またお目にかかれる時まで皆様どうぞお元気で。さようなら。
Дорогі друзі з України і Чигирина, нам дуже приємно, що ви до нас приєдналися. Ми вам також бажаємо щасливого Нового року і всього самого найкращого. До побачення. Бай!
Hello to Sebastopol. Happy celebration. We're not giving up.